Hi, 536. You may remember this tragic story we first told you about a few months ago. In Wellington, a toddler on a trip with her family died from exposure to fentanyl.
They were staying in an Airbnb, and somewhere inside, something she touched had fentanyl on it. Minutes later, she was dead. Investigators believe the drug was left behind by the previous guests.
Yeah, I-Team Chief Investigator Mike Magnoli has been looking into this case and is here now with this report. Mike?
Good morning, everybody. The DEA says fentanyl is so potent that one spoonful is enough to kill 3,000 people. The family that you're about to meet had never even heard of the drug until they read about it in the coroner's report about the death of their baby girl.
This neighborhood in Wellington is an attractive vacation rental spot. It's a safe area. It's close to golf, the houses have nice views, and some have swimming pools. But the Lavenir family endured a tragedy at this house. It's the first of its kind case. It's a startling wake-up call about the dangers of short-term rentals.
And now that word of this story has gotten out, we tell other parents, and other parents tell us it is not safe to do short-term rental on vacation with children.
Lydie and Boris Lavenir and their 5 kids had been looking forward to a big summer trip in August of 2021, a holiday to America. Flying to Miami from their home on the French island of Guadeloupe, they'd rent a car, and the plan was road trip all over Florida, finding Airbnbs along the way. They booked the Wellington property right after their plane landed.
When we arrived at the house, the children were excited. This was a new playground for them to discover. They were running around, happy, kids being kids.
The family made dinner and went to bed. The next day, in the morning, everything seemed fine, but in the late afternoon, their youngest girl, 19-month-old Inora, stopped breathing.
We all gathered in the bedroom, the entire family. My wife was crying and screaming. My oldest son called 911, gave them the address of the house. First responders got to us quickly, 4 of them. They told me to go wait in their truck. Then I saw them taking Enora out to the hospital.
At first, Boris and Lydie thought SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. They had no idea Enora was suffering from a narcotics overdose because of something she had touched somewhere in the rental.
The cause of death was acute fentanyl toxicity. I did not know what it was. I went on the internet to look for more information.
The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office concluded the guests who rented the house before the Lavenirs had a party. Marijuana and cocaine were involved. And these days, fentanyl is often mixed into other drugs.
Are you angry?
It's hard to say.
I am. Yes, I am.
Given the current climate that we are in with this drug epidemic and this fentanyl poisoning issue around the country, and the fact that they know they have drug-fueled parties, these platforms need to warn their guests that this is an issue, that you never know what could have been done before you got there. So please take an extra step, wipe everything down, because you never know.
Attorney Thomas Scolaro is suing Airbnb and vacation rentals by owner on the family's behalf since the house was listed on both platforms. They're also suing the property manager and the previous renter. Scolaro says these companies need to do more to crack down on parties and to make sure properties are clean and safe.
But the platforms, they want to play deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. They don't want to ask. They don't want to know. They want to have their eyes closed to this problem because it's more money for them.
Airbnb says it's already taking action, banning parties in rental properties. And violators can temporarily lose their privileges or even get kicked off the platform for good. Right now, 26 major U.S. cities are working on measures to crack down on partying and short-term rentals, including in Sarasota and in Marco Island. However, Florida tourism officials say tax revenue generated from Airbnb hosts last year totaled more than $370 million.
This family is living proof of what happens when you don't give a damn.
Back to the Lavenirs, no amount of money or legal action can bring Enora back or make the family whole again.
What do you miss the most about Enora?
She was a feisty little girl. in the best sense of the word.
What I miss the most is the sound of her voice.
You just feel for them so much. Well, we talked about the lawsuit. That's on the civil side, but there are other things that are happening on the criminal side. So Florida is doing something that not a lot of other states are doing. If they trace the path of the drugs and they figure out who the drug dealer was, that person can be charged with first-degree murder. And if convicted, that's a mandatory life sentence. Not clear if the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is trying to retrace the path of the drugs in this case specifically. But this is something that we explore in a new podcast. It's called Dealing Death. You can find it on our website right now. You look for the story about Enora's case here, and at the bottom of the article is a link to the series, and we will stay on top of this case. We will let you know what happens next, but guys, this is something that affects all walks of life. Somehow all of us are affected by the opioid crisis.
For sure. Mike, thank you so much for that story.
Teenager at home, you know social media has some good intentions. It connects your kids with their friends, lets them show the world a glimpse of who they are, and provides endless entertainment. But we know it can also have its downsides. It can be a highlight reel with kids scrolling through posts from celebrities, models, and even their own friends that appear to be flawless. Well, this morning, for the first time, we were getting a better idea of how that screen time might be impacting the way your teens feel about themselves. Take a look here. This new research from the American Psychological Association points to a possible link between social media and body image. It shows teens and young adults who reduced their social media use by 50% for just a few weeks saw significant improvement in how they felt about both their weight and overall appearance compared to their peers who continued to consistently use social media. I spoke to local psychotherapist Jennifer Tomko about why this is, and she says this is a vulnerable time for that age group because they're going through a shift from their parents being their primary influence to their peers and society being their primary influence.
When we're looking at other people, and we're not recognizing that they have a flaw, then we assume that we have to be at that same level. But in reality, there's no such thing, right? So that's why it's important to have those person-to-person conversations where we can love the person despite their flaws so that we can give ourselves, like I said, that same grace.
Just like with anything else, Tomko says moderation is also key with social media. So parents, like we've heard before, a screen time limit can be very beneficial to your teenagers. And when it comes to this study about social media, body image, and mental health, more research is still needed to determine if there's a direct link between the three. But we already know that young minds are especially vulnerable to social media. You may remember just a few months ago, I took a look at some new research about how social media may be linked to changes in kids' brains. You can read more about both of these stories right now on our website where you're looking live. Just head to CBS12.com.